know what come from. When you want accommodation, you want a private room to go and sit and drink your liquor and
I got a lot of big talks the other day.
a lot of religiously is, and they didn't do what they supposed. They didn't keep up the end of the bar. That, you know,
and if you see the quality of it.
Yeah, man, a fabulous squad, and we say Guyanese artists.
I say welcome to another program of Buxton Morning Time. It is now 7 hours. Let me make a fire, yo. Yes, it's now 7 hours 24 on the 11th day of the 11th month in the year 2022. Well,
Never joke, never joke, never joke. Oh, money, never, money, never, money, never, money, money, I know what you can even money, money, never, money, never, money, money, never, money, money, you can keep, you can even money. When you've been knocked for a bum, in a bill tell me money. Now because your money done, you come with conniving money. When you had your pocket full, in a bill tell me money. Now because your money done, you hustle for tell me money. Yes, money, neighbor, money, neighbor, money, money, neighbor, money, money. Now know what you conniving money. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. That's all the money that me walk for. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. This all the money that me walk for. I said money, neighbor. Money, neighbor, money. Money, neighbor, money. Money, now I know what you can even money. Oh, Joseph.
animal. I'm always wet. Who said no song, man? What's your problem there? Borges? Yes, Lance Borges? Check, buddy. Check. The song's looking right. Morning, yeah, morning. Welcome to another program. The weekend started since Wednesday. Last night we had the Old School Thursday and so on at Club Twilight. Old School Thursday and karaoke. Thanks to those who came out. I encourage more of you to come out tonight. Tonight is Friday night. Tomorrow night is Saturday night. And Sunday there's that big local artist concert at Club Twilight. So come out and support local talent. Right? We've been having some good local productions in recent times. Good, but it's Free Talk Friday. I know a lot of you during the week always got a lot of things to say. So today I want to give you a lot of time to say the things you wanted to say during the week. So Coffee, if you're listening, line up your phone number. You're going to get about 10 minutes this morning. Yeah, Coffee got things to say. Rhonda always has something good to say to us. And so I'm encouraging you, share the live, and let us talk about things. And one of the first things on my mind is Obia. Oh, Ladoy. You believe in Obia? She walk in Obia. She walk in Obia. You know that song? I'm going to look for it for you just now. She walk in Obia. Obia. African spirituality. Some people call them voodoo. Some people call them all kind of thing. But you have to acknowledge that there is a supreme being, and you have to call on that supreme being at some time to do something for you. How you do it is a matter for you. And if the good book tells you that, you know, you are made in the likeness and image of God, I don't know, some of y'all don't believe in yourself. Right? There's a kind of what we're talking about, you know. Me talking about iniquity. You gotta believe in yourself and you gotta be obedient to your Creator, obedience to your ancestors. What instructions were you led by the ancestors? They led by the examples. They say, you struggle for what you want. Fight! Don't give up. Don't allow nobody to mash you down. Right? But why I suddenly like talk about Obia? So last week I think I talked about Obia. Because this lady was saying, listen, Guyana under spell from the PPP. Good? This week, Obia come to my mind again because I said it looked like the PPP is paying their blood covenant, their blood dues, their blood tithes, whatever you call it. Right? They're paying their tithes in blood. They make a bargain with the devil, and so they got to fulfill their part of the bargain. Minister Vika knocked down and kill man. Presidential entourage, boat flip and man drowned. And up to now they're saying they don't know what went wrong to cause this boat to flip. Seriously, you know. Right? Is Moraganga from the Ganges, the water god? I don't know. The water people one day the Jew? I don't know. Yesterday again, I read, or last evening I read, there were 2 persons found dead with a boat flipping somewhere in Kyrenia or somewhere, interior location. But the long and short is, over this week, we have had a lot of deaths by accident, whether on the road or whether in the water. What happened? The PPP paid the price or what? Remember I tell you about a lady that, well, I didn't tell you at that time it was a lady. That elder who said she was sure that the PPP, well, Irfan to be exact, done slaughter 4 bulls at each corner this sort, having become president. Right? Sacrifices. The good book again told you that sacrifices were made to the God, or to God, the Creator. Right? I was about to say to the gods. Do you know it is African spirituality, a belief that God, they more than one gods, Mother God and Father God and so on. And yeah, I got to get back to your roots and learn some things. That's all I want to say to you this morning. Well, let's tell you a little story before I continue this discussion this morning. Share the live. Share the life. Why y'all don't want to share the life? Come on, man, y'all share the life. Boy, me a friend for talk about Obia. Share the life, no man. The numbers didn't look right. Share the life. What happened to y'all? Huh? Share the life, no man. I'm waiting. I ain't talking none. Share the life. Listen, I am happy that I grew up in Buxton. I was born, most likely I was born at the Georgetown Hospital, but within hours I became a Buxtonian, and I've been a Buxtonian since then. Why am I making that, not necessarily hearing Dorrit Gibbons. Is anybody having that same problem? Them Queenstown people know Obia too. Nadira Sokrach. How much Obia you know, girl? My meters are reading well. So tell me if you're here having a problem. Right? Maybe we gotta send some of you to the ENT specialists. It's Free Talk Friday. I reserve the right to speak my mind today. Yes, I'm happy that I grew up in Buxton because we have a rich cultural history. I don't think we have really, you know, failed that, man. Y'all turn up your device, no, man. Oh, I beg you. You can't share? Well, I don't know if you do, man. Y'all copy the link and share it on WhatsApp. They say not everything you could go through, you know. Some things you have to go around. Always keep that in mind. Right? Yeah, but I'm saying I'm happy that I grew up in a village like Buxton where we have a rich cultural heritage. Because I've seen the ancestors stay in connection with the Creator and their ancestors and so on. I see some magic in Buxton, you know. You know what comfort, right? How many of you know what comfort? When you keep a comfort, a spiritual work, a service they usually call it, yes, a service of thanksgiving or whatever. Right? I see people dance with fire in their head. And regardless of what they do, it ain't falling off. You can't tell me that there's not a greater being. How it's staying there? Right? How it's staying there? I see people dance upside down, come out, step on their head with no injuries. How it's happening? Right? So, I know we got a rich cultural heritage. Sometimes we neglect and we refuse to acknowledge that these things are in our midst and they're there for purposes. I've seen people who became quote unquote rich, super rich. I tell you, I spent some time in Golden Grove. Oh yeah. Yeah, I see people become super rich, well-to-do back in those days. And people used to say they got Baku. We talking. The people said I got Baku. I remember this particular man. Yeah, we go. Who they say used to mind Baku? Feed them with banana milk, man. And when he didn't provide for the Baku, or the Bakus, because like he had no Baku. The Baku they used to BT. Right? Baku they used to BT. Somebody say used to have snake, alligator, crab, why you see him, you know. Snake, alligator, crab, why you see him, you know. All the yellow. Because what? Baku them a cutty tail. Right? There are different angles, there are different stories, there are different point of views on Obia as against iniquity. So I tell you, I see people become rich and then they become poor. Because according to the stories, they did not upkeep their end of the bargain. They never stayed in touch with their spirit world entries. benefactors, whatever you call them. I don't know what to call them, but they get rich and they didn't do what they supposed. They didn't keep up the end of the bargain. They didn't feed in their Baku and things like that. I hear Baku run wild in the village though. Right? I hear people say they wake up in the night and hear people playing cricket next door on empty land. Yo, boy, me to the back. When they look up, who could see? They see 2 or 3 shot, black people with bright eye, playing cricket with coconut balls. To confirm that they know what they see next morning, they go out on the field and look for coconut ball. They see nothing of coconut ball. Right? These are our stories. Right? These are our stories. This guy, Philip Moore, the national sculptor. I remember listening to an interview with Philip Moore where he spoke about African spirituality and where he used to get his inspiration from to do the kind of works he did. And those of you who ever get the opportunity to go to the Castellani house, right? There's a corner dedicated to his work, and I think there might be some explanations and things. In fact, I talk about comfort. Philip Moore got a piece of work called comfort, right? I'm telling y'all things. So y'all gonna find out more about these things. Anyhow, it's Free Talk Friday still. So when you hear people say, listen, it's possible that the people in government and in politics, let's say some man wearing a snake band around this country, right? I'm talking over here this morning, but it's not the main point of discussion, eh? Yeah, share the life. There got a certain man in this country who tell himself that he's so powerful that he's untouchable and he could do as he liked and so on and so forth. And he runs things. He's another Putin. See, he walks around with a snake band on his hand. I don't know, on his wrist. I don't know if it's the left or right side wrist. The next thing you see, look at it. You see, must take a peep and see if it's there. You all see things in people and you don't know what they're about. I'll tell you this. And I'm telling you, this is my personal belief. I'm not judgmental than anybody. I don't like tattoos. Because I did history and so on, I know that tattoos have significance among certain ethnic groups like, you know, the Amerindians and so on. The skin painting and those things. They got their own significance, and everybody wears a tattoo for a different person. Right? Everybody wears a tattoo for different reasons. You see people wearing a rose, you might think is a simple rose. You see people wearing a dagger or a scorpion or something, tattoo, a name. Those things have significance to people, and people are entitled to that. But I generally don't like tattoo. You could be the most beautiful woman in the world. And so if you got eyes on me, take note. You could be the most beautiful woman in the world. If you have a tattoo, it's a turn off for me. We can become friends, I can get with you and chat you up and tell you you're sweet and good looking and so on, but love interest and so on will never be there in my mind. I don't like women with that. I don't like see people with that. Right? Maybe because of how I see tattoo. Society looks at people who wear tattoo, especially women, as quote-unquote body. A bad woman, she's a body, but you see how much tattoo she got on? Sometimes it has nothing to do with badness in the way that you see it in terms of prostitution and sex trafficking. No. It doesn't always have to do with that. People wear tattoos for different reasons. I'll tell you now. Ramchal want to work for me, boy. Do work for the coalition. Do work for Guyana, boy. Get rid of this wicked and vindictive, dirty government. I'm glad you are enjoying this discussion this morning. Because a lot of people don't like to have these kind of discourses. It makes them uncomfortable, especially if they know they're into the thing and they're into it for the wrong reasons. I had a personal friend. Well, yeah, consider that person a personal friend from our interactions and so on. Another individual told me, I did quote-unquote bad as a youngster. But I was protected while I was doing bad. Right? I was a mule, a drug mule. I was a mule for big people in this society. But I was one of the mules that never got caught because I used my intellect. When they expect me to be at point A, I get point B. Because I didn't follow their plan, etc. So they couldn't set me up. All of that person told me. Good friend of mine. And the individual wore a tattoo on the lower part of the body. Somewhere on, perhaps around the ankle or thigh or whatever. But I was told, you see this tattoo again? It's not just a tattoo, you know. This is what protects me from harm. This is what protects me from iniquity. And I get it straight from the original, the jokers themselves. And that experience was shared with me. The individual said, listen, when I went to this joker environment, watch me. And this man stand up in front of me. And suddenly this man disappeared. And what I'm seeing in front of me is one of the biggest rattlesnakes I ever see in my life. Yeah? This is an individual testimony. This is what a friend sharing. It's the biggest rattlesnake I ever see in my life. I say, hey, brave up here, man. And I started fighting this rattlesnake. And then it morphed back into the person who I went to. The bush doctor who I went to. And he watched me and he said, you got strong spirit. I did that to see how weak you are. But now I know you ain't weak. I'm going to give you the thing. And I'm going to put it in the form of this tattoo. So people will look at it as a tattoo, but they don't know its significance. Right? They don't know the significance. And so I see tattoo, well, long before that, since before that conversation and so on, I always never liked tattoo. Got? So when you see your politicians and them man are walking around with this band and that band and this tattoo and that tattoo, you know, you must ask yourself, wait, are these people clean? Are they godly? Are they, what about? All these deaths, these sudden deaths on the roads and in the rivers and so on and things, them man are paying the dues? I'm just asking, I don't know. I'm just asking. I don't know. Sometimes we have to look closer. That's all I'm saying. Right? Good. That's all I'm saying. Remember, ladies say, a lot of religious leaders, pastors and priests are tied up in this thing. You all look at the government and see where the big religious teachers that are associated and not very close relations with these people. Maybe they understand the teachings. And so they're using the teachings for their own benefit and forward advancement, whatever. I don't talk about Obia. If you have any Obia story you want to share, feel free. Good. Let me talk now about Sarah Lynch. Have you recognized that Sarah Lynch is agreeing with people like David Hinds and Rick Ford Burke and Kidaki Amsterdam and Sherrod Duncan and Mark Benchcop and the social media influencers when we say that this government is racist, when we say that this government is biased in its distribution of the national resources, when we say that this government focuses more resources on one set of people as against another, you all recognize? Yes, Sarah Lynch made it clear yesterday, I think. Well, the reportage came out yesterday. She was participating in some conference or something, and she identified that, yes, There's an issue with the way the government is managing. And the US government is concerned about the way they're managing. And the US government is lending them support to fix that. I ain't see it fixing yet. Right? But what I know, and what I can say to you, is that the US government, through the eyes of the very Sierra Lynch who installed or helped to install, those the Mark Benchcop files, did you? This PPP government, they're paying closer attention and they're raising their voices against the discriminatory policies of the government, the apartheid-like behavior of the government, and so on. And so when you see every day, every week, the fat guy and his team, his ministers and so on, running all over this country to go to black villages, African Guyanese communities, you know that they're trying to create a facade. That's what I call it. Because deep down in their hearts, they ain't interested in fixing nothing for black people. They ain't interested in the downtrodden in this country. As I'm talking about that, must look at, there's a documentary on YouTube called The Whitening of Argentina, I think, The Whitening of Argentina. Must check it out. Right? So when you see them running helter-skelter to this community and that community and the other community, and note, for starters, they don't go to the little-known African Guyanese community. They go to the Guyanese communities that they see as the bastion of liberation. Strong African roots and connection, and proud African men and women. That's where they go. That's where they go. That's where they're going to. To project that, look, we have a relationship with the African community. There ain't got no community in this village that could be more Afrocentric than Buxton, that could be more Afrocentric than Belgium, that could be more Afrocentric than Queenstown, Mocha. There ain't got no community in this country that can be more Afrocentric than them. And so we are going there, and we go ever so often. Every week we go into one of them to paint a picture to the world that, listen, we have a relationship with the Afro-Guyanese community. You know, the Lancer say he buy it in because we allow him to buy in. And then took time the other day to name every Afro-Guyanese minister in the PPP government. Why? To promote a narrative that we are not racist, we are not apartheid, like we got a whole set of black people around us, we deal with black people, we give black people opportunities. What does it call for now? People talk about the counter narrative. They are doing that to counter the narrative from people like myself and David Hinds and Mark Benchcop and so on, that they're racist and they're apartheid. Like, they're trying to counter that. We cannot. We are not to stop. We have to continue to highlight the vindictiveness, the racistness, the racialness of the PPP, and the people in our communities. I'm calling for outreach into our communities. African Guyanese leaders have to go into the communities, the APARTHEID and the Coffee 250 and the ACTors and the Society for African Guyanese Empowerment and the Guyanese Against Racial Discrimination. Afro-Guyanese representative organizations have to start a funnel across this country to speak to African Guyanese people and say to them, they will come to your community. My personal recommendation is don't chase them, but demand more. They will come to your community. Don't chase them. I don't want you to chase them. I want you to demand more. So they come to your community and they say, we're going to give you 25 timber bridges. We're thankful for 25 timber bridges. We're thankful for 25 bridges. but we don't want timber bridges. We want solid cast concrete bridges. Because in other communities, you are doing solid cast concrete streets. You're doing solid cast, you're doing concrete drains. We want concrete infrastructure too. We are not going to accept timber. And so, because they have a narrative that they want to promote, and they want to show the world that they're being fair to African Guyanese communities, if you hold your ground and say this is what we want, then in my mind they have no choice but to provide it. And we have to stop accepting low-cost development. Yes, we have to prove to the world that we're doing things in African Guyanese communities. We are going to go into African Guyanese communities and we're going to do things at the lowest possible cost. African Guyanese community, the residents, have to recognize that that is the game. Leaders of the African Guyanese community have to make the people they claim to represent aware that that is the game, and they have to tell them and teach them how to counter that game, how to counteract it. And I am saying to counteract it, they come into your community, they want to offer development as they claim. Yes, we welcome you, we welcome development, but development on our terms. You don't come and tell us you will give us 25 timber bridges. We want concrete bridges. And even if you can't give us 25 concrete bridges immediately, give us perhaps 12 or 13 concrete bridges at the most important access points. And tell us when you're going to come back and complete the 25 bridges, when you're going to do the remainder of the 25 bridges in concrete. That is how we can grow as a community. And we have the international community on our side. I am telling you, we have the international community on our side. Because like I said, the U.S. now is speaking up. At least through Sarah Lynch, she's speaking up. The Black Caucus of the United States, Hakeem Jeffries and Letitia James and all of those black senators and politicians and so on, are now zooming in on what is happening in Guyana. And action is promised. And I dare say not only promised, but you're seeing movement in the direction of action being taken. The PPP knew this was coming. They expected it to come. If certain people were able to retain their offices. And that is why racists, the likes of Roshan Khan and Freddie Kissoon, were quick to jump on a bandwagon that said, vote Republican. Vote Republican. Get rid of these black African-American Democrats who are threatening to upturn the apple cart in Guyana because they're paying attention to the complaints that are coming from Afro-Guyanese. They expected action after the midterm elections, after these people are re-elected to their offices, and so they have more time, they have mandate and so on, and they can now act. So they were expecting it. Sooner rather than later, the midterms was just completed in Sierra Lynch. You heard Sierra Lynch. So I'm looking to a change, some kind of change in policy from the U.S. and most definitely policy from this government. Not that they're good policy makers, but look and you will see them trying to adjust to accommodate. And that is when you wonder. 1 minute, I need to take this one. Yeah. All right, good. So when they come to your communities, address them proper. Tell them we want what you got to bring. But we are going to accept it on our terms. What people say, don't look at Gifars in the mouth. But if you say Gifars that is sickly and paggly, the first thing you'll say is, you guys pass me, where you going with them? Right? You guys pass me, where you going with that? And so the same attitude we must have in our communities. To tell them, yes, pass me, where we going with that. They're making big weather, if you notice, of Viceroy Jordan telling Sonia Parag they don't want her version of development. You know, sometimes we have to be smart. I remember, excuse me, I had a lecturer when I did a diploma in commerce at the Government Technical Institute, Mr. Bourne. Very senior man. His son is Professor Bourne. But I'm thinking, the young and aggressive, you know, somebody mashed my car. And I got angry and I was shouting, and Mr. Bourne said, I always like to try to imitate his voice. Mr. Amsterdam, please, this is what sort of my other? Mr. Amsterdam, it is your right to object, but be firm but polite. Right? I get it a little close. I know it's not the exact thing. But Mr. Board, that lesson has always stuck with me. Be firm but polite. Be firm but polite. Be firm but polite. And I've matured to the extent that my friends who know me well will know that if my tone drops, I switch to strictly the Queen's English. It is time to be afraid. It is time to leave me alone, or it is time to get it right. Because once I get into that zone, firm but polite, I'm at my worst. Right? My friends know that. People who are very close to me know that. I'm telling you that now. So if you find yourself in an argument with me and you see I drop my tone and I'm strictly formal with you, watch yourself. A deadly. Why am I saying that? As leaders, as community leaders, we lead by example, we set examples. Sometimes we have to watch our utterances. We have to count 10 and 20 and 30. Put our thoughts in the right order and then speak. And so when we do that, we leave no room for misinterpretation or misrepresentation. If the instructor can be accused of anything in that Belgium issue, it is that he left room for misinterpretation and misrepresentation from the likes of Big Smith and Sonia Parag and NCN now and DPI and the old PPP cabal. But I'm standing with Vince Roy. And why am I standing with Vince Roy? I'm standing with Vince Roy on the principle, because it's a principled position he took. Don't just think you can walk into this community, bypass the community elders and leaders, bypass the establishment, and do as you like, regardless of who minister you be, regardless of which government you're part of. There's something that is called protocol. There's called something that is called respect for office, and all manner of things. And so Vince Roy's position, based on what I saw and what I understood, was simple. You ain't gonna get access to this building because you turn up and want access to it. There's a procedure. You must go through the procedure. There's the NDC, the Neighborhood Democratic Council. Any minister going into a Neighborhood Democratic Council, any regional representative going into a neighborhood democratic, or a neighborhood as we call it, going into a neighborhood, going into the municipality. If you're going to the municipality on official government business, the mayor must be informed. It is normal, it is usual, it is protocol that the mayor accompanies you on your official business in his tongue. That's his area of responsibility. The opposition leader can't walk into any government ministry, disregard the minister, and speak to the staff. It's a breach of protocol. Any government official, regional official going into neighborhoods, as in Buxton, for example, the neighborhood democratic office has to be informed. The chairman has to be informed. The overseer and the chairman have a responsibility to accompany the visiting official around the neighborhood, whether they choose to do it together or one or the other. That's protocol. And so these ministers who tell themselves they are law unto themselves are turning up in every neighborhood, every municipality, every reserve, what do they call it, reserve areas, Amerindian reservations and so on, without informing the Tushau, without informing the neighborhood democratic chairman, without informing the mayor. I understand the facility that Sonia Parag wanted access to has a management committee. Did she give the committee adequate notice? Did she request or demand? These are all things that we must consider. And so I'm of the firm opinion Vince Roy Jordan did the right thing. Go back to the drawing boards. We want development. But we will not allow you to treat us like slaves when you bring that development. It must be development on equal par, on par. Let us sit and discuss what this community wants, what this community believes is its priorities. Let there be a contention of ideas. Let us argue over the ideas. Let the residents contribute to the development of those ideas, and then we shall move forward. And I'm saying if there's a better time to do it, if there was ever a good time to do it, it's now. Because the international world is looking at this corrupt cabal. I forgot something. The international world is looking at this corrupt cabal. And they're now starting to pronounce on them. And so they're forced, even though they don't want to deal with it willingly, they now have to deal with it. And so, they say don't kick the opponent when he's down. The PPP is not down, but they're on the ropes. Collect your pound of flesh. It's the right time to collect your pound of flesh. Demand what is rightfully yours. I'll give me a minute. Let's go multitask. It's what time? 8 hours 4. I did say I'm going to allow coffee and run and so on to have. Hello? The person come there? Good. Alright, good. I can go back to my regular program. Yes, coffee and run, and those who would like to share with us this morning, feel free to call in early and let's talk some things. So yes, as David Hinds, our clients like to say, we're winning. But we can have bigger victories. Was the Morgan Sabat to run them out, so we running them out. Let me make an argument here. Why you must not run them out? When Barjagdi and the PPP left office, when they lost the election in 2015, they really didn't leave office, you know. They lost the election. They lost government or the reign of government. But they didn't lose the trappings of government. Let me explain that. You see how quick and easy it was for the PPP to just take up from August 2nd, 2020 and went right back to regular programming? Because while the coalition was in office between 2015 and 2020, the PPP was controlling the entire middle management and top public service management of the government. The coalition had political control of the government. In my mind, they didn't have administrative control of the government, at least not fully. And so Barrack could say run them out. Because the PPP also had and still have control over the private sector. And so when the Barbizon guy was shot and killed for chopping a policeman during the election fallout, y'all recall who buried him, who stood his funeral expense? I think it was Sheriff Security. When things were getting tense on the East Coast, y'all remember was providing security services, not to a household, you know, not an individual, you know, but an entire community? Can any of you recall Sheriff Security Services vehicles, armed units, parked up at the entrances or main access roads to Indo-Guyanese communities across the East Coast? The long and short is I'm saying that the PPP had resources, human and financial capital, what you want to call it, to help their people out, even while they were saying run them out. Run them out. Run out the Granger government and so on. We're going to take care of y'all. We ain't going to do it openly, but we got businessmen who going to come to your community every weekend and give you stuff. We got businessmen who will finance on projects in your communities. Do your research and you're going to understand what's saying. We stole enough government resources that we can now give back to you even while we're out of government, because we are government in waiting. So even if we cause you not to get stuff by chasing them out, we guarantee you're going to get stuff when we force them out. Can we say Afro-Guyanese and Afro-Guyanese communities are in the same position of strength? Well, last year, an African Guyanese businessman donated 12 balls to a cricket club in any African Guyanese community. Earlier this year, or late last year, earlier this year, I had the coach and president of the Carnival Club, Cricket Club Buxton on my program, talking about the hardships they face, buying balls to play cricket. It's deeper than that in African Guyanese communities. We are marginalized people. Should we chase them out? Or should we demand our fair share of the pie? We shouldn't chase them out. I'm not saying we should be welcoming with open arms, but we should be willing to sit at the table and negotiate our share of the pie. Think about that. Think on that. That's my cousin's column. I think she writes to her Starbuck News. Think on that. Up to you, man. No, I want you to make nice. A battle of ideas. Morgan is saying, listen, chase them out. He agrees, he wants to adopt the Jack Deal principle, chase them out. I'm saying no. We must be willing to sit at the table and demand what we want, not what they want to give. That's the difference. And if we cannot come to an agreement as to what we want, as against what they want to give, or if we can't find a middle ground, then might be the right time to tell him, take your low-cost development and stuff it when the monkey stuffed its nuts. But you can't just chase them. You got to be willing to engage in a discourse. What you bringing, what you offering. That's all I'm saying. It's now 8 hours 13. The lines are open. 6225933 is the number to call. Buxton Your Morning is coming to you live from the arena of the Twilight, Club Twilight. Some of you are getting a sneak peek of one of the walls, no? One of the sections. They got VIP area too. Right? Don't think it's just, they got love seats and all kind of thing in this space. And those of you who want accommodation, you want a private room to go and sit and drink your liquor and engage in your private discourses and so on. We got that too. Club Twilight has that too. It's a kind of bread and breakfast and entertainment kind of setup. Yes, the lines are open. 6225933 is the number to call. What happened? You have Frank McCall? It's Friday's Free Talk Friday. Buy coffee card and let me talk it thing. You get enough time this morning. Yeah, let me take time out to say, I don't usually do it. I don't usually call people's name. But I'm always thankful for the support, financial and otherwise, that I get for this program. Get for Kams Tv in general. You certainly help to keep us broadcasting, keep us doing the work and so on. And so let me say a general thank you to all those of you who've been contributing and continue to contribute, and encourage you to continue to contribute. It's Christmas. So y'all could put together some special packages and so on for us and things. I was thinking about doing a Christmas party for the youngsters. Not because y'all know my position with Christmas and so on. But I know that even during that festive time, There are many children who will not be able to get the finer things in life as we thought they are, or we usually think they are, the finer things in life. A lot of children will not get a book, because that's my kind of toys, you know, a book or a tablet or some educational tool or something. So those of you, if you're of your opinion that you want us to do something like that, you can hit me up and let's see how we can work together and give the children around this area a little merry time. Call A Live, good morning.
Amsterdam, the viewing public and listening public, good morning. Mr. Amsterdam, this morning I have to disagree with you. I support Vince Roy, just like you say, but I have to disagree with you. We don't need to negotiate for what is ours. They owe us that. That belongs to us. So if it is ours, we don't need to negotiate for it. They need to come right, and they need to come right the first time. Just like how they bring those so-called timber bridge in Buxton, those bridges should have never been in the first place. The contractor should have never even get close to Buxton to put any of those bridges there. Because when they go to places right next door to Buxton, or they go to Wim, or they go to Bushlat, or Crabble Creek, they don't care so-called and half-ass thing. They come with the right stuff. So I am going to totally disagree with you. I'm not going to sit with them. They need to bring the right thing at the first time.
Carter,
So that's my position.
how do you get a message over to them that, hey, you ain't coming right?
Mr. Amsterdam, the Indians don't have to get a message to them because they know what is right.
The question is,
How can they take...
my question is, your neighbor is encroaching on your land,
Yes.
right? You want to resolve this situation. I want my land back. How does your neighbor know that he's encroaching on your land? Or better yet, how does your neighbor know that you're offended that he's encroaching on your land?
Mr. Amsterdam, you know I'm an extremist. So I'm going to give you the extremist view. Right? We had situations like that we dealt with already. And this is where we are dealt with it. If I put his fence on my land, it's my land, I take his fence down and put his fence where his fence belongs. In his land. I don't have to necessarily put it back up. So I would not able to share my view on this situation there. I'm saying that they're bringing the right stuff to Bushlat and Wim and all the Indian communities. They're bringing the right stuff there. So obviously they don't think much of us. That's why they're bringing the wrong stuff to us.
And so
It belongs to all of us.
we're chasing them out. We're chasing them out. Get us the right stuff, or it will continue to project us as the angry black men and women of these communities.
Mr. Amsterdam,
Because you got to understand the enemy, you know. Wait. You have to understand your opponent, you know. Your opponent is out there to project you as an angry mob of people. You're angry that your leaders lost the government. You're angry that according to them, you ain't getting the cushiness that your leaders in government would offer you. You're angry. That is what they want to project you as. And that same desire, that same aim to project you as angry is what is, in my mind, causing a lot of our national African leaders to withhold and step back from protests and so on, because they don't want to have that label. Right? The question is, are you going to chase them out to embolden this mantra, or are you going to show to the world that I engaged them and they failed, or they refused to heed, and then I chased them out? They got licks as discipline, you know, but they got licks that some people don't even understand why they got licks. I like beat and explain. Beat and teach yourself.
Right. Yeah, I like the idea of beating and teaching. I totally understand where you're going with that. But I still will stand to my point why the Indians don't have to sit and engage with them. They go and make a little strip in a black neighborhood, but they go give concrete roads and concrete drains. Don't you think that they know the right thing? I think they know what is the right thing to do.
Go ahead.
I agree. I understand your point of sitting and engaging with them. I'm saying, where does sit and engage with them get us? If you look at Buxton right now, getting 7 feet timber bridge and 4 feet timber bridge, while neighboring village getting, concrete roads, concrete street, where sit and engage get us?
You raised Buxton.
They couldn't mirror the other neighborhood and say they have the mantra one Guyana, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was one people, one nation, one destiny. So they coined the mantra one Guyana. So let's do one Guyana.
You raised the Buxton issue, the bridge issue in Buxton, right?
Yes, sir.
Now there are different schools of thought in Buxton on this Buxton issue. I'm of the opinion, and I'm using this 5-foot bridge right outside my gate as the teaching tool here.
Yes, sir, and I'm familiar with the location.
If I just watch them build a 5-foot bridge, we would have had a 5-foot bridge there. If I chased them out, we would have a dilapidated bridge there. But I engaged them. Like I said, I ain't beg them, I ain't welcome them with open arms. A course is a form of engagement. Right?
Yes.
I saw the engineer, I engaged him. The result was a 7-foot bridge. 7 is not the best. It's an improvement. But I'm using that to say this. If there were more people who had taken my approach to that 5-foot bridge, they would have get it right.
And to your point, and that's my point I'm making. So what Vince Roy did is the right thing. Go and come back. Don't come here pushing your chest up and pushing your weight around.
But Mr. Morgan, you and I are on the same level with that. I said I support Vince Roy. But what I do not support is the loud cry to chase them out. Not as soon as they show up, you chase them out. Get them a hearing. What are you bringing? What are the terms? This is what we want. Are you willing to work with us to give us what we want? If not, then get out. We can't just watch them come and chase them out.
I concede, sir.
It's my people behavior.
I concede, sir.
You think Jack you're saying? Have a good day. You don't have to concede, You're free to. But I just want people to understand. Right? Chase them out literally. As soon as they turn up, chase them out. Don't even listen to them. It doesn't make sense. A friend of mine was saying, I had some visitors yesterday, last evening, overseas-based guys, they came to support the bar as usual and so on. And one was saying, you know what he finds funny? In his adopted country, he could be Democrat, he could be Republican, he could be wherever. He could be Democrat, the representative to the Senate could be Republican. If he has an issue, he could contact his senator and get representation. Because that senator recognizes and understands that he or she represents the entire community. Not only Democrats or Republicans. In Guyana, if you're AP and USC, you got to think a million times before you can approach a PNC, a PPP parliamentarian to say we have a problem in this community and we want it fixed. Despite the fact they represent that locale. Right? And that's the madness that we got to fix. That's the madness we got to fix. You could. Morning, are you morning? Morning, are you morning? Morning, neighbor, morning. Are you sharing life, no man? I'm told I forgot something. What I forget by? Shane Newton, Sherwin Newton. What did I forget? Please send me an inbox or something. Unless you want anybody know we business. I get him big, you know. Big men do forget. Oh, yeah, big men do forget. So if I forgot something that I was supposed to do or look into, please and thanks. Hit me up so I can know what it is. It's Monday morning. We are just a few days away, 3 days to be exact, I want to see, from that cost of living protest in front of the Ministry of Finance. I'm anxious, you know. Morning. Yeah, morning. Again. Yeah, I'm saying that we're just a few days away from that protest. And I'm anxious. Very anxious because I'm asking myself, are we going to get hundreds out there or we might struggle to make a dozen? Y'all got determined there, you know. Y'all got determined there. I do him a walk. I got some flyers. I run the lane. Morning, you have to report to us right now. How we going? Talk to me. Emily Durant, I got something for you. Where you collecting it? I calling people name. Candy, what's going on in Barbies? What have you done? So, Greg, what's going on the other side of this SES equipment? What are you doing, girl? I tell you, bring a busload to the protest. If it's gas money you're studying, we got it covered. Higher money you're studying, we got it covered. We have to make this protest big. But this program this morning is not even big. How are we making this protest big? Y'all share the life. Share the life. Share the life. Share the life. Please and thanks. It's not no joking matter, Emily. Good. You want this for a cock curry, you gotta work for it, you know. Yes, folks. I hope you had a good weekend. I had a hectic weekend. I can tell you that I am not even fully recovered. I went to bed past 2 o'clock this morning. And here I am again with you on Buxton your morning time. It shows the love. It's a confession I must make. I love y'all. Right? I love y'all. And so, regardless of the sacrifices that have to be made, right? Regardless of the sacrifices that have to be made, I'm willing to make them because we have work to do. Some people are already in the Christmas mood according to my understanding, but I don't deal with them. Emily, don't give people the impression that know where to find a girl. I mean, I get a general idea, but I can't drive down by you. I know where you live. At least I know your village. Anyhow. Yes. Some people take a lot of things seriously. Well, seriously, very serious. I'm going to talk as an aside because I want to put you all at rest. Michelle Jones, good morning, sweetheart. Hope you had a splendid weekend. I love you bad, you know. Yes. Why y'all want to mind my business? Let's mind the government business. That is what we agreed to. We gonna mind the government business. Y'all always in my inbox. Mr. Amsterdam, this is your woman for truth. This is your woman. Oh Lord, I love all y'all equally, man. Y'all don't get jealous with one another. Anyhow, I hope you had a good weekend and you really are energized about fighting the fight, struggling the struggle, which is before you. And I've said to you guys that it is important that large numbers are in front of the Ministry of Finance on Thursday to say we are dissatisfied. Things are not looking up for us economically. It is also important that large numbers of us find ourselves in front of GCOM to say we are dissatisfied. The list must be cleaned before any elections, local or national. And I will keep explaining this because a lot of people are missing the point. And I will show you the importance of these numbers. I keep saying to you, you don't want 6 persons to turn up in front of GCOM or in front of the Ministry of Finance to give this wicked and corrupt and vindictive cabal and their cronies, local and international. Notice I'm saying local and international cronies. The opportunity to say those 6 persons out there are simply disgruntled supporters of the coalition. You don't want to give them the opportunity to say that. Because if they can get the opportunity to say that the small number of people, they are simply disgruntled coalition supporters. You don't see the majority of the citizens out here. You don't see the masses. And so the masses are comfortable. And since the masses are comfortable, we are doing good as a government. That is the PPP mantra. We are doing good as a government. And the cronies, local and international, are also saying the same thing. They're doing good as a government. I'll be honest with you, some people I didn't even know were admirers of the PPP. I hear them talking about the PPP doing good as a government. More specifically, they say the fat guy is doing good as a president. Now what y'all have to understand is, governance is not piecemeal. The fat guy alone can't be doing good. And good in the eyes of some people is going to this carnival and turning up at this place and shaking the body hand and so. You have to look at what is happening, what is the productivity, what is the output of the government in total. Right? That's an aside. What I'm addressing is the importance of being out there in numbers so that the world gets to see that it's not 6 and 12 and 10 and 20 opposition supporters who are disgruntled as the PPP would like to make it. The world must see that the citizens of this country are unhappy. They are living in poverty. They are living below the poverty line. That is what the world must see. How will they see it? By people turning out in their numbers. And so I'm saying to you, a lot of people argue, and I'm going to say this, I don't know if I said it before. A lot of people argue that the majority of the viewership on this Buxton Morning Time on Kams Tv as a whole, that is Politics 101 Buxton Morning Time speaking out, and whichever other programming we bring. A lot of people claim that the majority of viewers are overseas based. Well, Facebook does the analytics. And the last I checked the analytics, the majority of viewers on this program in particular, are based right here in Guyana, in Region 4. And so the question must be asked, why y'all don't come out to protest? Why y'all don't join the protest? Are you suggesting that you're comfortable? Are you suggesting that you're happy with what this government is doing? I don't want to hear about fear. I say that every day. Don't tell me about fear and victimization. I live fear and victimization. I should be fearful of everything, including victimization. But I don't put that in front of me and do nothing. And so if I, as an individual, am willing to make those sacrifices, for a better Guyana, I encourage you all to do the same. And I will repeat, there is safety in numbers. The more people from the ministry that are outside on the line, the more protected you are. Because they can't dismiss everybody. Ministry will not be able to function. We need to get out there. We need to get out there. I'm repeating it. We need to get out there in our numbers. If you are overseas, it's Christmas time, bargain. If you really and truly support the struggle and you're overseas, let's bargain. You got relatives down here, hey. Yeah, work this time for the Christmas raise. Go out and support the cost of living protest. I backing you. Backing you with bail money if you get locked up. I back you with lie if you get locked up. Plus, you know you're going to get your Christmas top up. I back you with expenses on the picket line for that day also. It's a challenge. As they say, put your money where your mouth there. But I'm also saying to those of you who are viewing, know that if anybody were to get arrested on the picket line, we got their back. We got your back. They will give station bail to start with, whether it's self-recognizance or cash. You can get legal representation all the way through the magistrate's court. That's an undertaking I'm giving you. Again, we need to put our people there. And I'm saying those numbers are important so as to prevent this cabal from saying, this cabal and the cronies, local and international, from saying it's just a few disgruntled ones. And let me get to the point now about the international cabal. Have you noticed the British High Commissioner? Whatever her name is, sometimes I rather don't even call people by the name. Have you noticed that while many of us were saying we need a clean voters list before any elections can be considered, this woman has opened her mouth to say that the current voters list is good enough for any elections. And so she's encouraging the local politicians to partake in local government elections or any elections held with that list. Have you noticed that? So immediately you recognize that the Brits, London Bridge is falling down, but they are willing to come here and say what is good for us. And since a lot of our people are so self-hating and got low self-esteem, what them white people say? Good. And so just now you're going to start to hear the argument. But the British High Commissioner says the list is good. But the British High Commissioner say y'all should go to the election. But the British High Commissioner my arse. But the British High Commissioner my backside. The British High Commissioner needs to go to Buckingham Palace or whatever they call it and tend their own farmyard, fix their own situation. The same democracy that the British can enjoy that will allow them to change prime ministers as if they're changing their dirty underwear. Guyanese are entitled to that. And we have a right to demand a clean voters list. As if it were up to me, quite frankly, today I would have been in front of the British High Commission with hundreds of thousands of people telling her to mind her own damn business. And so we can enjoy a freedom of electoral choice. But it ain't really up to me. I'm tired of doing one-man protests. And it's likely that if I go in front of the British High Commissioner, it's me alone. Or my 2 faithful soldiers. Or my 3 faithful soldiers. Rastaman, big up yourself. Emily Durant and Rhonda Lane, big up yourself. I got a new soldier coming out to Durban Backlands. Big up yourself. So we might end up with a 6 or 10 or 12 man protest in front of the British High Commission. But this is a Guyanese issue. What gives her the right to come here like Dirty Sarah and try to influence how Guyanese democracy is enjoyed? These are the things that aggravate me. And they're more aggravating because citizens are sitting back and watch these fools on television talk crap and just allowing it to pass. If it's dirty, it's dirty. It can't be dirty and clean at the same time. It can't be spoiled and usable at the same time. So when they're getting the opportunity to fire the politicians and the government officials, the representatives, House of Representatives and members and so on, by simple processes that are referred to as democratic, they're saying to us here, y'all are lesser than we are. Y'all are more backward than we are. And so y'all live in backwardness. Y'all live in backwardness. Go to an election with a list that is more than 90% of your adult population, or more than 90% of your total population. Go to a list that is perhaps double the adult population. Go to elections with that list. And we sitting back allowing that. We're sitting back allowing that. Why should we? Why should we? You think we could, we could talk if we like. But do you think our talk could influence what the Brits do in their democracy? Look at these nincompoops in the PPP. The likes of those that threw their support behind some candidate named Henry. Because they would have liked to see Letitia James lose the elections. First thing, they had a Assembly-man meeting. Second thing, people paid no attention to them. Because what they say or had to say about the American democracy didn't matter to the American people. But we got the Americans and the Brits and all of them coming around we show. I'm breaking the rule. I don't know what this person wants, but I'm going to answer. Caller, good morning.
You don't know what I want, I'm Guyanese. So, if we talking about one Guyana, yeah, I should have an input. Listen, we talking about Sarah and Lynch.
Just now, caller. Just now, caller. You're Guyanese, you're entitled to an input, but the lines are not open for calls yet. I do that at about 8. Right. So I will give you your say, but you will have to wait until the lines are open about 8. Thank you.
Not a problem.
Roger that, sir.
Not a problem.
Good.
Okay.
Right. Everybody has a right. Do you have responsibilities? All of us have rights. Do we have responsibilities? Too much is given, much is expected. What are our responsibilities? We have a right. We have a right as citizens of this country. We have a right to access services. We have a right to proper recompense. We have a right to proper remuneration for our labor. We have a right to healthy or safe working conditions. We have a right to all of that. But what are our responsibilities? We have a responsibility to defend those rights. Are we defending those rights? You think in Syria or in the US, come back down perhaps to Barbados and Jamaica, these half-baked people could make these utterances and the citizens of those countries stay quiet? In Syria, there must be burning embassies. I ain't advocating burning embassies. But I'm saying Guyanese citizens need to recognize their responsibilities and stand up to it. And part of our responsibility is to demand a clean voters list or no election. Part of our responsibility is to demand livable wages. Part of our responsibilities is to tell any of those who are trying to counteract our struggle by saying this is workable and that is workable. Mind your own damn business. If you cannot contribute to the solution of the problem, mind your own damn business. And this British woman, whoever she be, is not contributing to the solution. She's adding to the problem. Because she's emboldening this apartheid, racist, and criminal cabal known as the PPP to say that the list is workable. Which list is workable? I have no faith in CARICOM. At least not a partially credible report that they presented. I have no confidence in the EU. And all of those who said they were electoral observers in the last election. But one thing I know that they said that I agree with is at least the bare minimum for a free and fair and credible election is a clean voters list. And we know we don't have a clean voters list. And so we have a responsibility to struggle for that. We have a responsibility to struggle for that. I saw a message this morning, I got it, is a PNC that is saying all the regions, all of their members, all of their followers, all of their supporters in all of the regions, ensure you come down to GCOM tomorrow because the struggle has to be intensified. And I'm repeating here, ensure you come down to GCOM tomorrow. The struggle has to be intensified. The message says the protest is going to be for 1 hour. But even if it is 1 hour of intense struggle, come down to GCOM tomorrow. And let us take that same energy in front of the Ministry of Finance on Thursday. And do you know that the British High Commission is not far away from the Ministry of Finance? So as I said, we could knock two birds with one stone. So bring out your numbers. And let me lick whitebird instead of blackbird. Put them in a place. Mind your own damn business. Let us deal with our list. Because if you all support the PPP and they scrap, they are going to get it right. That's what I want to say. Listen, I saw some statistics over the weekend. It is a burning shame. It is a burning shame. Can you imagine the number of Guyanese who live outside of Guyana by percentage per capita? Can you imagine? Guyana has more Guyanese living outside of Guyana than places like war-torn Lebanon. Can you imagine that? If you have more citizens living outside of your country than a country that is fraught with dangers of war and tribulation, something got to be wrong. Something got to be wrong. Look at these figures. Look at these figures. Look at them there. The world's biggest diaspora. Guyana is number one. 36.4% of Guyanese are living outside of Guyana. And look at these places. Look at Bosnia. Bosnia caught up in war for how long? Look at Syria. Right? Look at those places. They always got a battle there. I don't think they got a day that passes that they're not at war with themselves or some other country. But more of their citizens live at home than Guyanese live at home. You ever ask yourself why? You ever ask yourself why? Why is it I have to leave my country, even in peacetime, to run to another man's country to have a semblance of a good life? And these very people to whose country I got run to are saying to the wicked and corrupt administration of my country, y'all doing good. Your systems are working. How your systems are working and you are doing good and your citizens are running to my country? You're either a total jackass for believing them, or they got bit in your mouth. I can't find another explanation. How is it? Citizens of this country got to run to theirs, but they are saying the systems are working here. And local politicians must partake. But not this one. Not this Buxtonian. Not this man who says at the bottom of the social ladder. My intent is for all of us to climb the social ladder and climb together. Not our resources being used to pull people further up the social ladder and kick some down. I'm encouraging you again, turn out in your numbers. Let us be out there in our numbers. While there has been some redemption, and some people argue that it's not redemption, it's Sarah trying to pacify Guyanese. While Sarah is saying this administration is not doing well enough because the wealth of the country is not being spread across the nation fast enough to every community, and they need to fix that. This jackass of a commission is telling us, yeah, let's go, y'all could work with it. And we sit back accepting, man. accepting that. Right? We are accepting that, and those of us who can, run into another man's country so that 36.4% of our people live in another man's country. A percentage that is higher than countries that are caught in war and strife and destruction every single day of the year. And you're all accepting that. It's 5 minutes to the 7 o'clock hour, to the 8 o'clock hour. Five to 8. What we do as a people from now will determine whether we remain subjects of the colonialists or whether we become a truly free, independent republic. Muse on that. Think on that. Decide whether you want to be a colonial subject or you want to live as a free, independent Guyanese who will determine and chart the course for your democracy to work, our democracy to work. Y'all decide on that. I got one thing I want to leave y'all with though. Nathan Charles, I don't know if you're talking about prefer and prefer here. Right? I don't know if you're talking about prefer and prefer. If you're a diaspora, you live outside of your country. There are different reasons why you could end up living outside of your country. Your parents move from here, they run from here, they will look for better pastures, and they make some of y'all out there. You're still diasporan. And also they then pack up from here and travel out is diasporan. So it's prefer and prefer for me. I don't know, maybe Lieutenant has a different understanding to me, but that's my position. You're Guyanese living outside of Guyana. There must be a reason why you're living outside of Guyana. Listen, even if the Americans, look there, the United States of America, for example, has a 1% diaspora. Because even if the Americans leave the soil of the US, let's say to come and work in Guyana and they become pregnant, the first thing they're going to do is try to go back home to make them picnic. If Guyanese leave these soils and go to the US, even for vacation, and they become pregnant, they do all kinds of things to stay there for get an American picnic. Because they see the possibilities as being better than coming back. I hope that clarifies what I'm thinking. It's a burning shame. What else is a burning shame? Is black people don't know to keep their mouth shut. It's not you are cussing or abusing later on. Don't take it personal. Maybe a slow clock gives me more time. Lauren, thank you. Oh yes. Let's talk. What else is a burning shame is black people who don't know to keep their mouth shut. The PPP is going from village to village. Or let me be clear. African Guyanese village to African Guyanese village. Using African Guyanese residents of those villages to identify and take them to homes where people died. They're going with a list. Mr. Lewis say easy now. I like, you know, these phrases that y'all just drop me. I don't understand the full story behind them. Y'all must talk to me in full sentences, man. Right? Y'all hear me? It has been established that the PPP is going into African Guyanese villages. Find African Guyanese who want soup from the table and are willing to do their dirty work. Yes. Kocho we call them. Kocho we call them. Snitches we call them. Them boys say snitches get stitches. Right? Snitches we call them. They're teaming up with the PPP. With the list, the pink list. To go from house to house. And identify, hey, this house had a lady who died 4 years ago. This one got a person who died 2 years ago. That one grandmother died 2 weeks ago. And the PPP is striking off those names from the list. They're identifying dead people on the list. In African Guyanese communities, in coalition supporting communities, they're striking off those names from the list because black people can't keep their mouth shut. They will take anything. They're going to take a pittance to throw their own under the bus. Oh, it's only dead people we're telling them. Y'all going to understand the importance of them same dead people that y'all telling them about. They're marking them on the list. I challenge any of you to go into the Indo-Guyanese community and identify the same process to me. Go into the Indo-Guyanese community and identify the same process of a house-to-house verification of dead people on the list. And when you could bring the evidence that it is happening in Indo-Guyanese communities, I'm going to shut my mouth. But for as long as there is no evidence that it is happening in Indo-Guyanese communities, I will talk about it. Because black people are their own worst enemies. You're too free with information. You have to lebe. David Hinds know what I'm talking about. Them old people know when they say you lebe. You like run your mouth. Even if the PPP and the representatives turn up at your door to find out who dead in your house, chase them out. That is what you should chase them for. Chase them out. None of your damn business. Move from in front of my yard. If you don't move fast enough, me wet your skin. Move from in front of my yard. Go ahead. Mind your own business. Nosy neighbor. Guyana. You know why? PPP is on a campaign. You think the PPP doesn't know that they used dead people on the list to rig the last election and previous elections? PPP knows that. You think the PPP doesn't know that if there are dead people on the list that they could use in the Indo-Guyanese communities, maybe African Guyanese will wake up to the con game and do the same thing? Let's be real. Oh, it started rig the last election. They use all them dead people on the list to rig the last election. And they also use them people who are foreign for rig the last election. We're going to do the same thing next election. Any dead people that on the list, we're going to find people for vote for them. Anybody that foreign, we're going to find people for vote for them. Because the game is up. The word is out there. We've seen the evidence. This is how the PPP rigged the last election. So let's get with the game. But the PPP is ahead of its opponents. What it is doing. It is going into those African Guyanese communities, identifying those dead people on the list in those African Guyanese communities, marking them off, striking them off, so they will get them off of the list. They will get them off of the list. They ain't getting no clean voters list, you know, because the dead and the overseas base in Indo-Guyanese communities will remain on the list. But the dead and overseas base in African Guyanese communities gonna get taken off of the list. How is it possible? I can tell you how it is possible. To get somebody off of the voters list by the claim of death, you have to present an original death certificate. What you have to do? Present an original death certificate. Where do you get an original death certificate from? The GRO, the General Registrar's Office. Who is in control of the General Registrar's Office? The PPP. Buru is there. Cummings was there. I don't know if he still is. And so when we get a list of all the people who died in Buxton, we're going to submit the list to GRO and Buru or Cummings or whoever our operatives are there will get an original death certificate to say they're dead, when they're dead, what they're dead from, and present it to GCOM to get them off the list. That is how you just clean the list. But we ain't doing the same in Indo-Guyanese communities. Because, hey, well, if the coalition, even if the coalition were to go into Indo-Guyanese communities and execute that process, learn from the PPP and execute that process, guess what? The first roadblock they will come up with, they will not likely find people in those communities who are willing to work with them to identify the dead and migrant. For fear of their life, for fear of their well-being, for fear of the safety of their own properties, etc. Okay, because they know that the PPP, demonic, they would burn down the house, they would murder them, they would run them out of their communities, they would make their life miserable. So it's highly likely the coalition is going to be able to go into those Indian communities and get that kind of cooperation which the PPP is getting in African Guyanese communities. Because black people don't torment their own. Black people ain't gonna murder their own over politics. Black people ain't gonna burn down their Matthias over politics. We love too much, or we love enough. And so while the PPP is doing it in African Guyanese communities, African Guyanese can't go and do it. The coalition can't go and do it in Indo-Guyanese communities. They're not going to get the support. And let's assume, because I like to look at all points of view, let's assume they get the names in the Indo-Guyanese communities. Where they getting the original death certificates from to start with? When they submit the names to GRO, you think they got anything to get? Huh? You think they got anything to get? Nothing. They got nothing to get. They will dilly-dally until after the elections and all of that, and then you might start seeing them in the mail. See, same thing I'm explaining, Broadley Johnson is asking, why we are not going into Indo-Guyanese community and do the same? Because of the explanation I just gave you. I'll be ahead of the game. But I got a question to ask y'all. Was the coalition ahead of the game? Because there was a time when the coalition was in the very position that the PPP is in. But the coalition, at least the leaders in the coalition, like to take their hands off. They interfere with the operations of GRO. Let GRO do the work. We want to make them more efficient. They were made more efficient. Seriously, you could get a birth certificate, a death certificate, a marriage certificate. Quick. 2 days. 3 days. 4 days. 5 days. 6 days. 7 days. 8 days. 9 days. 10 days. 11 days. 12 days. 13 days. 14 days. 15 days. 16 days. 17 days. 18 days. 19 days. 20 days. 21 days. 22 days. 23 days. 24 days. 25 days. 26 days. 27 days. 28 days. 29 days. 30 days. 31 days. 32 days. 33 days. 34 days. 35 days. 36 days. 37 days. 38 days. 39 days. 40 days. 41 days. 42 days. 43 days. 44 days. 45 days. 46 days. 47 days. 48 days. 49 days. 50 days. 51 days. 52 days. 53 days. 54 days. 55 days. 56 days. 57 days. 58 days. 59 days. 60 days processes were in place for you to get them quick. But the coalition utilized that process to acquire death certificates of the people who it found on the list to be dead. Don't tell me they found out this after the election, because after the election or during the recount, they were finding out this. During the recount, they were finding out this. Was anybody making efforts to get these death certificates as proof that these people died? I don't know, I'm asking. So do we have somewhere, does there exist somewhere among the treasures of the coalition hundreds or thousands of death certificates based on what we found on the list while the recount was happening? Because every day you were identifying dead voters. And as these dead voters are being identified and information is being sent to the command center and the hierarchy of the coalition, have they been collecting the death certificates to prove their case? Or did they just rely on that list, which GCOM has, which GCOM had to verify? Did they rely on GCOM's verification process? Because if they relied on GCOM's verification process, I can tell you now, Laura, them all would. Because the PPP has already started a process to discredit that. Because Cummins and Boudou have been a GRO. And Cummins and Boudou going to create a whole list to say that this list that GCOM got is inaccurate. Likewise, the man at immigration who replaced Ray. Right? You think the PPP, you know why they put it there? Because again, when they want immigration information to prove that residents of African Guyanese communities have gone overseas since Noah was a boy and they haven't returned, based on this investigation that they're doing, they're going to turn to he and he can provide the information. Likewise, to discredit the list that GCOM got that said there are lots of people from Indo-Guyanese community who left these countries and never came back but voted. He gonna send that man, our records don't show that. Y'all gotta understand the game. The game is up. Black people got to learn to shut them mouth to start with. They're gonna learn by fear or foul means. Y'all decide that. It is 30 minutes past 8 o'clock hour. Lines are open 6225933. I know y'all got a lot to say this morning, so let me give y'all some time. They get about 47 minutes. Run your mouth as them boys say. The lines are open 6225933 is the number to call. I know I don't see a voice note from Queenie. Let me hear what Queenie got to say.
The British High Commissioner is past with more than I pass. You need to mind your own business. President for which country you ever see stand up on a car? The man is a puppet. He should. It's a pity. He should have flicked like Humpty Dumpty. Trust me. Have a great one.
Thank you for that voice note. The lines are open. 6225933 is the number to call. There were many people who were ready to call before the lines were open. So where y'all there now? Talk to me. I don't run my mouth. Your turn. I'm waiting. In the meantime, I got a song I want to play for the British High Commissioner. And the likes of Sarah and Lynch and so. Admiral Tibet, as I say, run the tracks.
I say believe people business and mind your own. I say
good morning.
But David killed Goliath.
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me?
You're live.
Okay, good morning to all my black brothers and sisters. Listen, I be saying this on your program, that the opposition leader, that when he go and sit down with these diplomats and private sectors, is to know exactly he aim if he could shut the country down for the Christmas holiday. So they could go back and let the government know, so they could give out money and the private sector get their portion. What the High Commissioner said to the black people in Guyana, mostly, I believe it's time for the coalition to come together now and shut this country down. Because everybody walking on black people in Guyana, why she have to use that nonsense word? How she know that list is good to go to the, you know what's wrong with black people in Guyana today? Why they allow it? What Burnham teach them, taught them how to respect themselves with dignity and honor, and they will let somebody else come in and destroy what their foundation. It is time for the coalition to come together and shut this country down. With this, everybody come in and tell Guyanese how to live their life, what they must do. It's a shame and ridiculous. And I do hope Mr. Army not listening to this program. It is time for you to do something. It is time for you to say, if black people can't eat, nobody cannot eat anything. Let everybody suffer and die. It is time for you to do something nonsense. It is really ridiculous and shameful. That is my thing for this morning.
Thank you. The lines remain open. And I want to say to the British I come, whatever you call her, she is fast food.
Samson killed the Philistine with the donkey job on. So the people business alone. The people business and mind your own. The people business alone. The people business and mind your own. You carry news go. You carry news go. But that's not the use for your teeth and your tongue.
Good morning, you live.
Yes, good morning to all the listeners. I want to give one message that I keep pushing all the time. Our ancestors weren't free by sitting down. They weren't free by being silent. They were free because of the fight. And if we hadn't made sacrifice by the shedding of blood, they would have never been free. That's my take.
Thank you, caller. Lines remain open. 6225933. Mind your own farmyards. If you're not a part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Guyanese gotta know how to deal with the problems. And it's not by lifting it up to the Lord. Even if you're lifting it up to the Lord, it calls to action. Caller live, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Kadeki. Good morning, all Guyanese. Good morning, all Guyanese in the diaspora. Lifting it up to the Lord. We've been praying, and many of our people been calling for help. So sometimes when you call out for help hard enough, you get answers. I support Vince Roy Jordan's attitude. I support his stance in the Belladrum area. And I tell you why. Because it is the kind of attitude that Vince Roy demonstrated that we need in this fight. Hear me good. The attitude demonstrated by parliamentarian Vince Roy Jordan is the kind of attitude we need at this junction. Because it's that kind of attitude going to say, mind your business. Keep it in perspective. If you ain't doing nothing for us, don't come and tell us nothing. Having said that, that attitude that Vince Wright said needs to spread. And I hope that the vice chairman or the chairman of the PNC party, Mr. Holder, Sherwin Holder, adapts that same attitude, that militant attitude. That attitude needs to catch and spread, become contagious. Now, we must keep doors open. We must keep negotiation open to see what the PPP will do. Apparently, Sarah Lynch had much to say. And being that she helped install them in there, let's see what kind of pressure she can use together with Rickford Bourke's pressure. And keep in mind, Sarah Lynch ain't just saying what she's saying now. What she's saying now is because of largely what Rickford Bourke and them doing in New York. Placing pressure on the Democratic Party. You see, the Democratic Party is between a rock and a hard place. Because right now, they are concerned, or last week, they were very concerned about whether the Republicans will take over Congress. So the uncertainty of the time last week was very uncertain, you see. That uncertainty, Sarah Lynch had to rush out and say, look, we're going to do something for y'all. Because we don't want things to go in the wrong hands. See, Sarah Lynch was put out there by her boss, Secretary of State, to say something, to appease, to satisfy, to calm the Democrats in New York, who were raising their voices to say, if y'all don't do something for Guyana, we're going to give we votes to other people. So Sarah Lynch rushed out there and said something to appease us. Now, let's see if what Sarah Lynch said will be continued into practice. Let's see what Irfad Ali said. Irfad Ali said the doors are open now. Well, let's put that to the test. And let's keep the attitude of Vince Roy on the front burner. Let's keep Vince Roy's attitude and vigilance on the front burner. Going forward, we're going into Parliament. For those that want to go to Parliament, you're already in Parliament. So you might as well stay there because you're already in there. Let's put Irfad Ali to the test in Parliament and say, if the doors are open, let the doors be open to these front burner issues. Let's test them. I hope that the coalition will test Irfad Ali's willingness in Parliament to pass certain laws and regulations to test, to see if what he is saying out of his mouth, he's really ready to carry into practice. See, that's the first test. If they can't sit down with a coalition in Parliament and pass certain laws, then we know they're not sincere. So that's why we're keeping the attitude of Vince Wright Jordan on the front burner. Mr. Kadaki, you're right. So we need to remain vigilant. We need to keep the door open, but we're not keeping the door open. We're not taking Vince Roy's attitude off the front burner. We should chase them out of every community that they come in Guyana if they're not prepared to do what Ali say they're going to do. If the doors are open, then show us, demonstrate to us in Parliament that the doors are really open. We shouldn't have to wait until January, February, March come to get actions. They could start action this week. Sit down with Comrade Norton and the coalition and demonstrate to us tangible action. If you can't do that, then we continue as Vince Roy Jordan suggested. Not only chase them, but escalate the agitation. So the ball is in the PPP's corner. And the ball is also in Sarah Lynch's corner. That she must put pressure on the PPP. She said there are a lot of bad actors. She said there are a lot of bad actors. She said there are two issues which are a fact. She said that there is corruption. That's a fact. She stated that. She said the PPP are corrupted. She stated that. She said there are bad actors, like Sue is a bad actor. She said they must make laws. Not only make them, they must enforce them. So the PPP must enforce laws against bad actors who are facilitating corruption. She's talking about Jack Dale. Because she's saying that the laws aren't being enforced against Jack Dale, who was a bad actor in the corruption process when the Vice News revealed him in corruption. That's what she's talking about. She's talking about monies coming to Guyana. So she's talking about Ashley Singh. She talked about the budget and flooding. So she's talking about how the budget was frustrated. The coalition was excluded. She talked about inclusion in the context of the monies. So she's talking about Ashley Singh and she's talking about Mansour Nadir. So let us understand who she's talking about. When she's talking about monies, she's talking about budget. She's talking about monies coming to the country, she's talking about Ashley Singh. When she's talking about COVID, she's talking about the disproportionate ways in which COVID money was given to communities. When she talks about black women being marginalized, she's talking about black families being marginalized. If you talk about black women are the mothers of all our households. That means she's talking about all black families being marginalized, as well as she's talking about Amerindians being marginalized. So she's talking about plenty stuff. She also talking about apartness. If you listen carefully, Gail Teixeira, she's talking about apartness. When she said marginalization, that's apartness, meaning she is pointing a finger to apartheid. See? So just in case we didn't think she said a lot, she said a mouthful. Right? She said a mouthful. So once again, I just want to highlight what the lady's saying, just in case Mansour Nadir might have thought that he wasn't implicated. Just in case Jack Dill thought that he wasn't implicated. See? And just in case this whole thing about the natural resource bill, she mentioned rich countries getting rich off of oil. She's talking about the NRF bill and how the NRF bill could be used to better the standard of living of Guyanese. She said we must do well. She said we must be not only do well, she said we must pick up the pace, PPP. She said you're dragging your feet, you must pick up the pace to expedite a better system in Guyana. These are all the things she pointed out. Just in case you had thought she missed you all, she calling your names. If you're that dumb enough, can't see it. But most importantly, she said black women are being marginalized. Gail Teixeira, tell us what that means if that's not apartness. Not only black women, Amerindian families. In the context of that oneness that you're talking about. Once again, thank you for listening.
Thank you for calling. The lines remain open. 6225933 is the number to call. I think I have some voice notes. Caller Live, good morning.
Hello.
Caller Live, good morning.
Hi. Hi, good morning. My contribution this morning is that frankly people should shy away from Sarah Lynch and her comments because she is on her way out and she shouldn't be making no comments, you know, for Guyanese start a day or two, right? And secondly, this British people, right? I think what the PPP is basing their arguments upon and stuff like that, and they get a little bold and little strengthened because there's an Indian guy there who is the Prime Minister. So they tell themselves, okay, we got Indian representation there from the Britain, right? And my next thing is that there was a guy that went up to England and got turned back. I can't understand with 400 pounds, he just got turned back, right? It just shows that, you know, there is marginalization there, right? Because I know for a fact that there might be people with 400 pounds of a different race might go in and gain entry into England. But I just show you, know, the apartheid system works first in Guyana. And people in other country views us as, you know, like the ordinary people of Guyana, like you know, like nothing. They could do us anything. Put us on a bench to sit down and tell us, okay, we are denied entry. Put us back on the next flight, and we gotta pay our own ticket from Barbados. That's my contribution. We are being marginalized, black people in this country.
Wayne Calendar. Why you see me face when I address you? Wayne Calendar! Hey, come from by. I love my calendar girls. But who is Wayne Calendar? Wayne, let me explain this to you. I want to believe you're asking a rhetorical question. I want to believe you're trying to... I don't know. But I'm going to answer you. The opposition wants to sanitize this. Call hold the line, please.
Good morning.
Hold the line, please.
Okay.
The opposition wants a sanitized list. There's no question about that. Do you recognize how the list is being sanitized when assuming that it is being sanitized? Only black people is dead. Only people in African Guyanese community does dead. So only African Guyanese community, the PPP will send its operatives to go house to house to find out about the dead and strike it off the list. And you call that sanitizing the list. I call that the PPP giving themselves an unfair advantage. Because they're taking off the dead from the list in African Guyanese communities, but they're leaving the dead on the list in Indo-Guyanese communities. What does that do? Technically, they're reducing the voting population or possible voting population in African Guyanese communities, while what? Maintaining or bolstering the numbers in Indo-Guyanese communities. I hope you can understand that way. If we had a process of identifying the dead in all of the communities across Guyana and removing them, that is sanitizing the list. If that is not a process, then that is corruption, electoral fraud, and that is what we are against. Give me a thumbs up if you understand me, Wayne Calendar. Caller live, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, that's just what you said. That is just true. What you refer to is total corruption. Because when they go in the African area, which is what they're doing, they come to this area, they pick a few. So even if they come to have a meeting, they tell a few, and the few pick a few who gonna eat, they can easily walk over. You understand? And coming to Vince Roy. What Vince Roy did, he did give them a hearing because he asked them what the come for. They came was to install people in a building that the people of the area built.
And he told them, on certain times, no, you can't do it, you can't come, something comes them, go. I totally agree with him, and I back him for that. But coming back again in the village, look what's happening in Vice-Loss. They came into Vice-Loss over 5 months now and promised them to, in any case, they came and said they came in the day, and the only special people now who know, they didn't come along the village because at least I didn't hear. When I do heard about the meeting, when they finished. When now you go, they went there and they make plans. Them after the advise us $3 million to do the play field, and then there's a house on the play field for years. I don't know if the government gives us the play field. That house should have been moved. They have a family living there for years, living there all the time. They dig the drain. They get them $3 million. I tell them then ahead, but they settle $3 million cannot build things. You know what? Mr. Hicken and them tell them when he come in the area, he comes here with politics. So why the hell he come? That is the minister's duty to come in here to talk about development. That is with Hutmofilas, Ramsey should be down here and all them to let talk in. They came into the village and offered $3 million, and some of the people them who would get to understand $3 million like a $3 billion. I don't know if they're getting money or not, but all what I am seeing for the past 4 to 5 months is 3 heap of sand, a load of sifting, the drains, the dig the foundation drains, and I told them, I said, that is all y'all going to get, a step of the yard to let them come better. Don't ask me, but here's the thing of it in the village. They don't invite certain people to meet because they know it will be crucial, it's just like what's happening in Parliament. You don't want to buy the question, and I want to know how is it Mr. Hicken coming and get in these things. His job is to look after security in this country. Mr. Hicken coming, then you tell the people in the village. From since he settled this, to chase him out. He come for politics. But why he come and deal with political games? And this is the thing what the people do. They're going into the village, they're looking for the weakest thing they got, people them who want money. Then the next one got it to Mercy to come and say, it's a real time now, guys. We got for us again. They get nothing for the past 5 months. And they continue doing it in all the villages. Coming to Cyril, to the UK High Commissioner. See, number one, Guyana should have been out there condemning her already, but you know what? From the time she said they said visa free, I told them, I said a visa free thing that lashes. You understand? And I know they can find, even if that guy that go with enough money, they can find the next excuse for him. You understand? And these are the people that don't care about what he's here for a purpose. You see, she trying to talk about the voters. This could continue. She concerned. Why should they go and tell the Prime Minister that she could stay there? I think every minute they're changing the Prime Minister, and no outsiders cannot get involved. This is what Guyanese got to understand. These people can talk and talk, but they're not concerned with it. They're concerned about them. Because it would happen just like the farmer ambassador from America. When his time was up, he came back and told CEO of a big company in Guyana. These people can come and do all everything. When even they give visa free, they say the most you can get is 5 to 6 months. If you got the ability to do it, to stay. These people just come here and they say over a year, I think next thing no, the turn residents in the country. PVP is so stuck. Everything's about corruption, and this is what I have to say. Right now, I don't feel you can say don't have discussions with PVP. It's me to stage now that Guyana is supposed to be radical, but you know it's not be radical. You got to strike our brothers, our own brothers. That is our own brothers will tell us out. They will still going down the slope, and they will help pushing them. And it will be flavor's mentality that is right back with us. I can go on to other things, but I want to give other people things to tell.
Thank you, caller.
Good morning.
The lines remain open. 6225933 voice note.
Good morning, Mr. Amsterdam. Good morning, viewers. The British High Commissioner and Sarah Ann Lynch is the reason why Guyana is in that state along with others. And it's time Guyanese get up.
Call over the line.
And fight for true democracy. Don't let the PPP have their way. You guys come out and demand what you want. It's ridiculous, these people just going in other countries and telling the citizens what to do. It's wrong. And it's time Guyanese stand up and said, this is our country, we would make our decision, we would choose our leaders and true democracy. That is what Guyanese have to say. True democracy, that is what we want. And that's what we're going to fight for. A clean voters list. If not, no clean voters is no vote. No election. Only hope the coalition stand their ground and stand firm. That is my take for today. Bye.
Thank you, caller. Thank you, Voice Neutral. Caller Live, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Certain things that came earlier, I would go with. Like what Coffee said. Now, one of the things I wouldn't go with is what the caller say. That Sarah Lynch is saying. I want the caller to know that the caller might be spewing things on these lives. But if the world got to listen to somebody, they wouldn't listen to the caller, they would listen to Sarah Lynch. And if has to come from river bottom and say crocodile get COVID-19, who you got to believe? Sarah Lynch was in the belly of the beast. Sarah Lynch was in the PPP chest, living in them like a cancer. She was there, and if Sarah Lynch coming out now and spewing all she spewing, the outer world will listen to Sarah Lynch, because Sarah Lynch knows what she's talking about. You see, you got people, they said Sarah Lynch is a career ambassador, a career diplomat. History, Sarah Lynch, life as an ambassador was to do, she's being paid to do what she did to Guyana. And she come in and she get in line with the PPP and she know all the dirty secrets. And now Sarah Lynch gonna be at the point where she's gonna be washing this dirty linen along with the Isabel Young thing will go there. Reuters all in Guyana business. So I don't know what the caller tried to say just now. Anyway, when it comes to the giving up the visa and the people now when you go up to England, you're being turned back. Guyanese gotta know that the visa thing was applied. What you say about this election, how they're going about and checking out people to see what is going on the list, that is going on indeed. Now the man spoke about they go and they give some little bit of money, and when they finish giving the money, it cannot do work in the areas. That is so true. Remember I told you about a road that they took about 7 to 8 months to build? They didn't finish the road. Hope you to know that this brand new road that they built in Denham still back of where I'm living at S Road, it is already getting a lot of potholes. One of the persons who living at the back, when I told him, I said, man, you're going to see they ain't going down the road. He was in my chest to tell me that I always know, and the people ain't down the road. The people carry away everything, and the road start to break up. And when the road start to break, it does spread, and then the whole road will be in potholes. Now coming back, lots of people are talking about, oh, go and protest in front of thing. I hope that from the numbers that we saw last week, Tuesday, we could quadruple that number or more than quadruple it this week. And I hope they're out there also protesting by Ministry of Finance. Friday, somebody went into Sherrod and started to talk. Sherrod ended up partly in tears because I does listen to Sherrod and I never Eric get down into somebody like that. And when Sherrod explained what he is going through because of these struggles, when we go out there, we are open to the elements, any element that decide to be negative, we are in the full force of those elements. And people are talking every day, oh, this is happening, doing happening. Some of them are outside, but the many that are in Guyana behaving as though they are outside. They are not coming to the struggle. They are not lending anything to the struggle. But all what they do, they come out on the program, BOTHS on the ground, not BOOTS on the ground. And then some of them got a lot of negative slurs to defer people who will go there and try to do something. If y'all can't come out and struggle, don't put boots on the ground. We don't want no negativity on our protest. So I hope that we get more people. And to you, Carla, we said that Sarah Lynch in this, where Sarah Lynch could walk, where Sarah Lynch words could go, and what Sarah Lynch words could do, my own and your own cannot do it. Because she was the ambassador to Guyana, being placed here by the United States of America, the Republican Party. And where she gonna go, me and you can't go. So don't back talk. She knows what she's saying. She knows what she's doing. All right, bye-bye.
Thank you, Wanda. They got a thing on the program. Y'all know I don't like these things when they come on the program. Marcel Erskine, good morning. Where your brain there? Under your foot? Yeah? Erskine says everything is race to me. If I could only talk about race. Guyana is a racially charged country. Guyana is divided by race, like it or not. The PPP utilizes race. It's the only policy they know, race. So why must I not talk about race? The issue of cleaning the voters list, as it is approached now, comes down to race. The PPP is going into African Guyanese communities, which are predominantly black people, Marcel, African Guyanese people, Marcel, to investigate and strike names off of the list. But they're not doing it in Indo-Guyanese community. What does that suggest to you? Huh? Not race? If your brain is under your foot, stand up on your head. Call it live. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Kadaki, and good morning, viewers. Now, I was very, very upset to hear the ambassador for England pushing or making statements that suggest to Guyanese that she's partisan. Now, Guyanese got to remember something. We have to remember something. Hello?
Caller, we're listening to you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Recently, the government had mentioned that there are some more sites that were discovered with oil. We have to remember, she represents BP, the British Petroleum Company. You have to remember these things. She is now sucking up to the government for them to get favoritism to the beds that will soon be out. Don't fall prey to what she's saying. She knows exactly what she's doing. No, we all must remember, if not her, but her government, Sarah Ann Lynch, the Canadian High Commission that they transferred to Barbados. They are responsible for the deaths of the Henry Cousins and Harish Singh. We must never forget that. A big statement should be placed in the APNU newspaper, or your program must never forget. It should be a big advertisement. The death of the Henry brothers, the Henry Cousins, and Harish Singh was the outcome of the United States of America, the British, the Canadians overthrowing a democratic elected government, a government that the people choose. Now she's going to making these wild statements that the election should go forward with a bloated list. You see what she's doing? She's exposing the Guyanese community, which her counterpart, the United States, is saying that African women are being marginalized and victimized. You see, what is she doing? What is she doing? She's giving them a passport, the installed regime a passport to continue to do what they're doing. And of course, as Rhonda rightfully said, whatever these people say, the country who they're from or representing will listen to them. Don't forget. And if you look at the two statements, one came out from the U.S. ambassador claiming, or she knows very well that women, mostly African women, are marginalized or victimized. Then this one come with a counter statement now, telling you that it's okay to go ahead with local elections. The focus, listen to the focus clearly. They don't want you guys to turn the sword on EXXON, on BP. They want you to fight against each other. One is telling you one thing and the other one is telling you the other thing. The focus should not be on them. The focus should be on each other. You must fight against each other whilst they rape Guyana. Guyanese you must be conscious. Keep your eyes on the prize. You don't care what they say. Stop looking at opposition. Remember, the opposition has a promise. They will not support, they will not have no massive protests in Guyana to disrupt the flow of business. Stop looking at the opposition. The people are in charge. The people power says everything. That's my contribution, Mr. Kadaki. Have a good night. Good day.
Thank you for your call. Voice note.
Good morning, Kadaki. I think what the British High Commissioner has done is just to further the policy of the slave masters who she represents. England has lots of turmoil and tribulation going on right now. Why don't she sanction there? No. The whole truth is, and it will continue to be, that Guyana is a downtrodden country in their eyes. And as far as they're concerned, it has too many black people who are likely to become rich. So in an effort to make sure that doesn't happen, we're going to take what was supposed to be theirs. And we're doing it blatantly because we already have the Indians in our pockets. We tell them how to play the game, and the game must be played. Months ago, the ABC and the EU countries spoke vehemently that the voters list need to be cleansed. How all of a sudden she made a 180 degree? And she took the forefront because there seemed to be a change of heart among all of them. She took the forefront, and trust me, the others will chime in periodically to vent the same feelings as the British High Commissioner has so far done. It's just a matter of time. And on another note, I heard that the office of the president is now a manufacturing chamber for birth certificate. And we know what's the rationale behind that. Or for those tons of Venezuelans and expats who have no papers in the country, they will suddenly become Guyanese. And we know for what purpose. They will all vote for PPP. Another way of entrenching themselves there illegally. Black people need to get up off their ears and do something. Shut the country down so that no one can benefit right now. Start afresh. This has become way over time. Things got to be done now. Christmas coming up. They already made their investment to siphon what little the black people have in their pockets. So you need to give them a surprise. Shut the country down. Thank you, sir. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you for that voice note. Another voice note.
Good morning, Mr. Gaddafi. Good morning. I'm calling in reference about what this man is talking about with Sarah Lynch and all these things. What with Miss Sarah Lynch? From the beginning, she was placed there as the ambassador of Guyana. And she was there to observe and to report back to the DOI, the Department of Investigation, and what's going on. And with all this atrocity that was going on, and with everything that going on, she have never reported, or she have never said anything or come out publicly and denounce this stuff. But all of a sudden she's coming out to think that she is a good person, or she is for changes and everything. Because if she the one to changes, she could have already comes out and speak up against the atrocity that was going on with the black people and everything in Guyana. But no, she refused to. But because now the international is seeing what is going on now, she's coming out and speak out to say, well, this and that. From the beginning, I think she could have helped to prevent what is going on if she had reported what was going on, the atrocity, the crime that was going on people, the human right abuse, and everything. So I would not call her a angel or nothing to say she could. Now she's speaking up to save the people. That is all what she's speaking about is hogwash. And I have no respect for her as her ambassador. Because do you remember when she herself also was with the PPP? We saw it on the news where she was going with them and how she's going and with the babies, Ali baby, and hanging out with them and going places and all this stuff. So I don't care what they say about her trying to be an angel or being good. My point of view is, I do not have no respect for her. She are the one that have part of Guyana where it is now. Because she is there not only to say to see what goes on and to report, but I don't know, but what I'm saying is I do not believe her. I am not going to even rejoice of what she's saying or nothing, because she should have called it out what it was way before. And that is my point. So anybody want to believe and say about Sarah Lynch,
The lines remain open. You tune to the Buxton in the morning time. And we have more voice notes to play.
Morning. British didn't tell Guyanese that they get a bench for Guyanese. It's not only free visa or visa free in the country. It come with a bench too.
Voice note.
Good morning, Mr. Amsterdam and all of Guyana. I want to know, when is Mr. Aubrey Norton is going to start acting like a leader, start acting like a man, and stop acting like a boy? It's time to pull up your socks and get very busy. The other side are busy doing whatever they want to do. They are trampling on us, right? While there is all kinds of wrong things going on the other side. When are you going to start leading from the front? You asked for this position. The people them put you in this position. Now it's not time for you to lead the pack. Come on, man. How much more suffering needs to take place? The troops are there. You have to gather them up. You need to do more. You need to do way more. It's time to get busy. As far as I see, if you continue in this mode, they'd ride a horse. Everyone, I talking to the coolie people them was suffering too. The Amerindians them was suffering. The black people them was suffering. Yeah, come out on the 17th and demonstrate. Because it didn't look like we could wait for Aubrey. Aubrey up on the turtle train right now. You guys have a good day. See y'all on the 17th. Come out in your numbers. I want all the public servants to come out. The private sectors and all people, workers, them, y'all come out. Stop collecting this little chump change and demand for what is y'all. Y'all got millions to y'all name too. All right, I don't talk, at least for now.
Thank you for that voice note. You're tuned to the Buxton in morning time. And there is another voice. Caller, you live. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Kadaki. Are you a betting man? You hear me?
No.
You're not a betting man.
Well, I take calculated risks.
Huh?
No, I take calculated risks.
You take calculated risk. All right. Well, I'm going to tell you this one. After the 17th, that protest after the 17th, you're going to hear Aubrey Norton going to come out and say that we went on protest. Where was he or his troops? You're going to hear he's going to go somewhere far beyond our shores and run his mouth and say we were out there protesting, you know, and never ever leading nothing by the front. He always running after it. He like afterboard. Have a good day.
Thank you for your call. I don't know why you're beating up on Harvey this morning, but your choice. Lines remain open 6225. Oh, it's 6 minutes past the 9 o'clock. Oh, I should be scooting out of here. So I'll take a last call. I'll take a final call if there is any. I don't know who it is. Somebody asking me, Mr. Amsterdam, why you don't go into the Indian communities? I know the same thing the PPP is doing in African Guyanese communities. Some people just dunce and want to appear as though they got smarts. Some people not even prayer could help them. You know? I sat down here and I explained at depth, at length, why this is happening in African Guyanese communities and why it will not happen in Indo-Guyanese communities. So for you to come and ask me this question, you know they say, best to keep your mouth shut and let people assume that you're an idiot. Then omit and remove all doubts. I have no doubt you're an idiot to ask that question. Call A Live, good morning.
Morning, Kadaki, and morning, Guyana. I eat, sleep, think about race every friggin' day of my life. In Guyana or elsewhere, it's about race. Erskine or whoever it is, why it always got to be about race? Them coolie people, it's about race. But they want Africans to always be the kind one. And these are the people we are. But for the few of us, we'll give them good licks. But the majority of our people are, as they're saying, are God-fearing people. But yet still, they fear the coolie people and the white people. You know, what oxymoron is it? Right? We are God-fearing, we fear God, but we fear them coolie people more. When it comes to Sarah Lynch and Miller, the British High Commissioner, Guyanese don't, any little word that is contrary to what the PPP is doing, we want to hang our thoughts and, oh, she coming out, she doing this. Bull! The people mean no good for African people. So stop harping on the little subtle things these people doing. And they have not really done nothing. They talk about what they want to happen, but have done nothing to correct it. So strike that out. It is up to the people on the ground to create the mayhem, and the world is going to pay attention. But stay silent and, you know, think, and the people then going to think nothing is happening. Georgetown in itself have over, 400,000 people? But when you're out there on Tuesday and you've called this protest on the 17th, you can't even get a friggin' 1,000 people to get out there. That is so ridiculous to me. That you've got hundreds of thousands of people in Georgetown, and it's not a matter of transportation to even get there. It's the matter of the mind of the people. And the people them in Guyana, in my opinion, don't give a hoot. Go to mention that word, go to say something else. They really don't care, in my opinion, but just a small amount of people. And whatever the Africans have been doing in Guyana, the whole country benefits. But the coolie people don't see that because all they see is race. Are we these own? And are we these going to do whatever they want them to do? Africans don't think that way. So I wish all the best that we've got the numbers out there on Tuesday, and on the 17th to make a difference. And children need to be, I guess they might be in school at that time. They need to see their parents fighting for something, because guess what? These same parents who were for 23 years didn't do nothing. Their children didn't see anything, and they're not going to do anything. So for the African citizen in Guyana that have youngsters, please make an impression on their minds so that they can tell themselves, at least my parents stood up for something. And that's my take.
Thank you for your take, caller. That was the final call for the day. There's a voice note I need to play.
Good morning, Mr. Amsterdam. The Guyanese people should not be fooled by the statement from Sarah Lynch. She becomes a goody two-shoe now and have interest in black women. She's following the directive from the Biden administration. It's not the Trump administration. She and the British and the EU, all of them installed the current administration. And everybody is quiet with whatever is happening in Guyana. And the British High Commission, she should, as Forrest Burnham said, she should mind her own farmyard and stop poking her nose into Guyana's affair. All they're looking after their own interests. Their own interests. All that is in Guyana, everybody wants it, except it is not good enough for Guyanese to benefit off of it. This current administration, they better start to be patriotic. Charity begins at home, not abroad. Before they help Guyanese, all those poor people that are suffering, they're allowing all these foreigners to come into Guyana and reap all the harvest. That is ridiculous. Enriching themselves and their friends. Stop sitting down, Guyanese. Get out there and fight for your rights.
Thank you, caller. Thank you for that voice note. Now it's a wrap. I have to go. Because there are things I must do, I have to go. But, I will continue to repeat. Many might think it's a way of motivating Arvin Norton by cussing him out every morning and so that may or may not work. Arvin knows what he is doing. Arvin knows the impact of what he is doing. What are you doing? What are you doing? How much you intend to do and how quick you intend to do it? Unless you are doing, you ain't got no right cussing Arby. I say so. I do and so I could cuss you all and cuss Arby. But at the end of the day, like I said, we all have rights and we all have responsibilities. Let us honor our responsibility and then we could judge another man. That's what I'm saying. Have a good day. See you all tomorrow for more Buxton in morning time. And there's some things we're going to talk about, which we could have spoken about this morning, but I deliberately didn't. We're going to talk about those in the morning. Have a good day, y'all. Goodbye. Remember to support Club Twilight. They're open daily from about 6 in the evenings. If you're passing through during the course of the day, you think you want to take a drink, or you want some relaxation, you want to watch a movie, you want somebody to gaff with and so, check Club Twilight. You can hit me up and see if anybody is available. Have a good day, y'all. Goodbye.